Next thing I'm going to show you is a few different ways we can teach the horse to put its head down, and a few different useful cues that we can teach for this behaviour. In this clip I'm using a very subtle visual cue pointing downwards with my hand. There are lots of different occasions when you will need to ask your horse to put its head down. For example, brushing your horse's face, forelock, ears, treating injuries, putting a bridle or halter on, or even if your horse stands on a lead rope. Head down is also a nice easy behaviour that we can put on a high rate of reinforcement, and we can use this behaviour to get the horse's attention or help to calm down and refocus a nervous or distracted horse. Capturing is when we just watch the horse and we click and reward for a natural behaviour that the horse offers without trying to get them to elicit a response. So if you just stand around watching the horse, and any time you see the horse move its head downwards even slightly, click and treat. We can then use free shaping once you've got the horse offering a small head lowering response to gradually get the horse to put its head down further to earn the click and the treat. Capturing is great for some behaviours. You just need good observation skills and good timing to reinforce the behaviour when you see it. With other behaviours, you might not be able to capture them, or you might be waiting a really long time before the horse offers the behaviour. So there are other ways to get the horse to offer a behaviour so you can click, but capturing is one method that you can use. Another way you could get the horse to offer the behaviour is using a food lure. I don't recommend this so much though, as the horse tends to get more focused on the food and not so much focused on their behaviour. You can use the lure, but you would need to still reinforce the behaviour and fade the lure out really quickly. A way to overcome this is to use targeting. So with targeting, we also get the horse to follow the target to elicit the behaviour. In this case I'm using a nose target, getting the mare touching her nose on the target, and then gradually holding the target closer towards the ground, and then once she can lower her head all the way to the ground consistently, then I can gradually fade out the target and instead reinforce the head lowering movement. Combined reinforcement is when we use negative reinforcement or pressure release together with the positive reinforcement of the click and the treat. To do this, hold the halter up under the horse's chin so that they can't reach you with their lips, and apply a very gentle downward pressure on the halter. Watch the horse closely, and as soon as they move their head down even slightly, click, release the pressure on the halter, and then give the horse a treat. Repeat this until the horse is putting its head down immediately from a very light pressure cue. When the horse is responding to a really light cue, you could then start to gradually get the horse to put its head down further, and then eventually get them to hold their head down for longer before you click and treat. After the click, the horse can bring its head back up to get the click and the treat, because the click ends the behaviour. It says, yes, that was good, now you can have a treat. Once you can get the horse offering the behaviour, we can then start to add a cue for the behaviour by giving the cue immediately before the horse does the behaviour. In this example, I'm waving my hand downwards immediately before the horse puts her head down. She was going to put her head down anyway. I just add my cue immediately before she does it, and then when she puts her head down, I click and treat. If the horse doesn't respond to the cue, then don't give the cue again. Try to either wait for the behaviour to happen and then reinforce it, or you could use a prompt such as your target or a light pressure cue to get the horse to do the behaviour immediately after your visual cue. Ideally you want an immediate response between the cue and the behaviour so that the horse can make the connection. You could add any cue to a behaviour. It could be visual, something the horse could see, verbal, a sound, tactile, a touch, or even a part of the environment or a part of the arena that triggers the behaviour. Whichever cue you're working on, just work on that one cue until the horse gets it. Once the horse can respond to the cue, then we start to only reinforce and click and treat if we have actually given the cue for the behaviour. If the horse offers the behaviour without you giving the cue first, then don't reward the horse. Instead, give them something else to do that they can be rewarded for. You'll then need to train the behaviour in lots of different locations. I suggest retraining the behaviour in 10 different environments so that the horse learns that the only consistent thing is you and your cue, and so then the horse will learn to respond in any environment, even with distraction. Once the horse can already offer a behaviour and you've maybe got it on your cue, you can add a new cue or a different cue to that behaviour. To do this, we use classical conditioning. We give the new cue, and then we give the cue the horse already knows, and when they do the behaviour we click and treat. So here I'm using a gentle downward pressure behind her ears with my hand as a new cue. Follow that up with the halter pressure under her chin. When she does the behaviour I click and treat. Always use the new cue first and then follow it up with the cue the horse already knows. I could do the same thing, applying very gentle downward pressure on her forelock, extremely gentle, and then using the halter to get the horse to put her head down, and then when she does I click and treat. And after some repetitions the horse will eventually start to respond just to the new cue alone. I'm not showing you heaps and heaps of repetitions of these ones, but if you're adding a new cue you'd need to do a lot more repetitions of each one. So eventually the horse will respond to the new cue alone. And just for fun, I've taught her to put her head down in response to a very light touch on her ear. I'm certainly not pulling on the ear, just apply a very light pressure and then use the halter, and when she puts her head down, click and treat. So I hope you now understand that there's some different ways you can teach the horse to put its head down, and you've got some different options for teaching different cues for this behaviour. I hope you're enjoying clicker training your horse, and thanks for watching.